Mara had only been to the cabin once in her life, and even then, it was in fragments of memory. Damp wood, the sharp stink of pine, and her mother's silhouette framed in the cracked window. Her mother, Eliza, had been many things: reclusive, paranoid, strange. After she vanished 3 months ago, Mara figured the property would be sold and forgotten. But the will was clear. The land, the home, and everything within now belonged to her. She didn't want it, but curiosity and perhaps guilt had a way of clawing at her resolve. The cabin sat nestled deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains, far from phone service or paved roads. The trees loomed overhead, choking out the sky, and the winding path leading to the cabin was carpeted with rotting leaves. Moss draped over everything, like a shroud. The front door creaked open with a reluctant groan. The scent hit her first, earthy, musty, metallic. The place felt more like a crypt than a home. Dust hung thick in the air, disturbed only by her cautious footsteps. Everything was untouched. A teacup sat on the armrest of a chair, half full. Dried flowers curled in their vases like dead fingers, and journals, dozens of them, stacked on shelves, scattered across tables, even in the oven. Pages upon pages of her mother's writing, erratic, slanted, often scrawled over itself, like she was trying to bury her thoughts. And then there were the jars, tucked into every corner, behind furniture, under loose floorboards, glass jars filled with soil. Some held worms, others held things, unmoving things, coiled, pulsing things. Mara felt her skin crawl as she twisted one jar in her hand. The worm inside flexed in the dirt, as if sensing her touch. She put it down quickly. Mara spent the first night in her car. The wind howled through the trees like a warning, and the cabin's windows glared at her through the dark-like eyes. But the next morning, despite the unease, she returned inside, driven by something she couldn't explain. Her mother's madness had always frightened her, but now she needed to understand it. The journals read like a descent into delirium. They come across through the soil. The worms are not worms. They're mouths. They whisper if you listen long enough. And if you feed them, they grow. Every mother must make a choice, to give birth or to be consumed. I chose both. The dirt remembers, the worms remember. I buried it, but they still know my name. It didn't make sense at first, but then Mara began to hear it too. Not clearly, never directly, just a soft, constant hum beneath the floorboards, like a writhing sigh. She pressed her ear to the wooden planks and froze. Movement, shifting, slithering. She backed away, heart pounding. Just the pipes, she told herself. Old houses made noises, but the longer she stayed, the less comfort that excuse offered. She began dreaming for her mother, standing at the foot of her bed, pale, barefoot, earth on her lips. She would whisper, "You'll understand soon, Mara. Blood calls to blood." The third day brought a new horror. Mara woke to find dirt scattered across the floor, leading from the kitchen to the basement door. Small piles of soil and something that looked suspiciously like drag marks, as if something had been pulled below. She hadn't gone into the basement yet. The door had been jammed, the lock rusted shut, but now it was open, barely. She descended slowly, flashlight in hand. The beam revealed a narrow room lined with more jars, hundreds of them. The walls were covered in black mold, and the air was thick, damp, hard to breathe. And in the far corner, a shallow pit. It was maybe 5 feet across, dug directly into the foundation, and it pulsed. The dirt moved like something was breathing beneath it. Mara gagged on the smell. Then she saw the bowl, a ceramic offering bowl, smeared with what looked like blood. Flies buzzed lazily around its rim. She turned and fled. That night, she tried to leave. She packed her bag, grabbed her keys, and marched to the car. But the engine wouldn't start. Not a click, not a sound, just the dead, choking silence of the woods. When she returned to the cabin, the dirt trail was back, and now it led to her bedroom. She didn't sleep. By the 5th day, Mara had stopped pretending this was normal. She heard the whispers constantly now, not just under the floorboards, in the walls, in the jars, inside her own mouth. They weren't in English, but she understood them. They spoke of hunger, of return, of birth. She flipped through the final journal. The last entry was smeared, frantic.
They are ready. I can feel them inside me. I fed them long enough. Soon, I will be nothing but a tunnel, a mother, not to children, but to worms, to gods. Tell Mara I'm sorry. Tell her she'll do better than I did. Tell her not to fight it. Fighting
makes it worse.
That night, Mara's belly began to ache. Deep, throbbing pain. She doubled over on the floor, gasping, fingers twitching against the wooden planks. She could feel movement, not in her stomach, but lower, in her spine, her ribs, under her skin. When she stripped in the bathroom and looked in the mirror, she saw something bulging under her flesh, something wiggling.
No.
She grabbed a knife. It was just a dream. It had to be. Mara jolted awake on the bathroom floor, the knife still in her grip, her shirt soaked with sweat, not blood. The bulges were gone. But the whispers remained. She stumbled into the living room. All the jars were open. The worms were gone. She heard something behind her, slow, slick movement. Turning around, she saw it. From the pit of the basement, something was rising. A massive, pale form, made of soil and sinew, covered in writhing worms. At its center, a face, her mother's face, twisted in agony and reverence, chanting words that vibrated through the cabin like thunder.
She is born. She is fed. She is mother now.
Mara fell to her knees as the worms poured toward her, up her legs, into her mouth, her nose, her ears. She screamed until there was no breath left to scream with. A month later, a couple hiking the Blue Ridge Trails spotted a woman sitting outside a dilapidated cabin, rocking slowly on the porch. She was serene, silent, eyes milky, hands covered in dirt. She smiled as they approached.
"We've been waiting for you," she said sweetly. "Would you like to see the nursery? The soil remembers, and now, so do you." If you're still listening, thank you for braving tonight's tale. Mother of Worms has been fed, and so has your fear. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Tomorrow, we descend even deeper. Day 13 is not for the faint of heart. Until then, stay scared